Life has a wonderful way of guiding us, if only we are willing to observe and heed the subtle laws that govern abundance. Many wander through the world, working tirelessly, yet find themselves perpetually chasing prosperity, never quite grasping the fullness of wealth that is their divine right. The reason, dear friends, is not in the lack of opportunity or the scarcity of resources. It is in the unconscious choices we make daily, choices that silently siphon away the flow of abundance. There are certain expenditures, certain habitual outflows of energy and money, which act like invisible walls between you and the riches that are waiting for you. You may not even realize them, for they are cloaked in the guise of necessity or pleasure. Yet the law does not err. Every dollar you allow to leave your hands without purpose or vision returns as lack, keeping your dreams just out of reach. Recognizing these expenses is the first step toward liberation, the first step toward letting the universe pour forth its treasures into your life. Consider for a moment the tiny leaks of money that seem trivial, yet accumulate like a slow drip from a faucet. Each unnecessary indulgence, each impulsive desire, becomes a chain that binds you to mediocrity. The universe is abundant beyond imagining, but it requires that we act as wise stewards of our resources. When you surrender your power to fleeting pleasures or habitual waste, you invite limitation. Your thoughts follow your actions, and your actions speak to the infinite law of prosperity. I am not ready for abundance. I am content with lack. It is a subtle but undeniable truth. Money is a spiritual instrument, an energy that responds to your thoughts, your intentions, and your respect for its power. To become rich, therefore, is not merely to increase the digits in a bank account, but to align oneself with the invisible currents that bring opportunity, fortune, and success. Every dollar spent must serve a higher purpose. Every financial choice must carry the conscious understanding that wealth is your divine inheritance. There are 8 particular ways in which people, often unknowingly, repel abundance. They are the silent thieves of prosperity, disguised as routine, convenience, or entertainment. And though each may seem harmless in isolation, together they erect a barrier stronger than any obstacle outside of you. By observing these patterns, by recognizing where your money flows without intention, you awaken to the possibility of transformation. The moment you become aware, you step into a realm where abundance is not only possible, but inevitable. The path to wealth is not found in struggle, but in conscious alignment. Every expenditure is a statement to the universe. Will you declare, through mindful choices, that you are ready to receive, or will you, through indulgence and neglect, continue to live in limitation? The journey begins with awareness, for until we see the invisible chains we have forged with our own hands, we cannot break free and step fully into the richness that is our birthright. Unconscious spending is one of the most subtle yet powerful forces that quietly undermines the manifestation of wealth in our lives. We go about our daily routines, often unaware of the decisions we make with our money, believing that our small indulgences, our impulsive purchases, or even our habitual payments are harmless. Yet each of these choices, when repeated without conscious thought, becomes a thread in a web that holds us back from the fullness of abundance that the universe is ready to pour into our lives. There is a hidden law at work here, a law that responds to thought, intention, and action. Money, like all energy, follows the vibrations we emit. When our spending is unconscious, scattered, or careless, we send a signal to the invisible forces that govern prosperity, that we are not ready for abundance, that we do not value the divine flow of resources, that we are content to drift along in limitation. This signal, though subtle, has a profound effect on the manifestation of wealth, for it is in the unseen realms that all creation begins, and it is from these unseen realms that abundance flows to the physical plane. Consider how easily unconscious spending slips into our daily lives. We purchase items without reflecting on their true necessity. We justify our actions with fleeting rationalizations. A sale is too good to miss. A luxury is deserved after a long week, or a minor indulgence brings temporary happiness. The mind rationalizes, but the universal law does not. The law does not consider the size of the expenditure or the intention behind the justification. It only responds to the energy behind the action. Every time money leaves our hands without conscious awareness, without clear purpose, we create a small rift in the energy of prosperity. These rifts, invisible though they may be, accumulate over time, forming walls that obstruct the free flow of wealth. The universe is abundant, yet it requires us to act in alignment with this abundance. Careless spending is a misalignment, a subtle but persistent signal that we do not fully respect the divine gift of money. Unconscious spending is often tied to emotional triggers. Many of us have learned to soothe, reward, or distract ourselves through purchases. We buy to fill a void, to chase pleasure, or to avoid discomfort. Yet these purchases, born of reactive emotions rather than intentional choice, carry an energy of scarcity and lack. The universe does not mistake indulgence for abundance. It sees the underlying vibration of our thoughts and actions. When spending is reactive, impulsive, or emotionally driven, it communicates to the infinite law that we are trying to acquire externally what is missing internally. Prosperity is a reflection of inner alignment, and until we cultivate awareness of our patterns, the energy of money will continue to evade us, slipping through our fingers despite our outward efforts to secure it. There is also the danger of habitual spending that goes unnoticed because it is consistent or routine. A subscription paid without attention, a small daily purchase repeated endlessly, or a mindless pattern of consumption can drain energy over time. Each minor expenditure, taken alone, may seem insignificant, yet collectively, they become a powerful force working against us. The law accumulation is at work here, as every small leak compounds into a significant barrier. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, recognizes these patterns and adjusts the flow of resources accordingly. Unconscious spending creates resistance. It is as if we have placed a dam in the river of abundance, allowing only a trickle to pass through while holding back the full current. To clear this dam, one must first become vigilant, observing every financial choice, and discerning between expenditure that supports purpose and expenditure that serves habit, fear, or fleeting desire. Awareness is the key to dissolving these invisible barriers. The moment we begin to notice the way money leaves our hands without intention, we awaken a new energy in the law of prosperity. Conscious observation transforms habitual expenditure into mindful action. We start to ask questions. Does this purchase serve a higher purpose? Does it reflect my respect for the divine flow of abundance? Am I acting from lack or from alignment? Each question, each moment of reflection, shifts the vibration from unconscious limitation to conscious openness. This shift is powerful, for it is not the act of spending alone that matters, but the consciousness with which we act. The universe responds not merely to money spent or saved, but to the intent, the thought, and the alignment behind it. When unconscious spending ceases, we create space for abundance to flow freely, and the invisible walls that once hindered prosperity begin to dissolve. Unconscious spending is also often accompanied by a lack of gratitude. Money is energy, a reflection of divine flow, and to spend without awareness is to take for granted the gift of this energy. Gratitude transforms energy. Every dollar spent with awareness, appreciation, and purpose becomes a magnet for more wealth. Conversely, money spent mindlessly, without thought or appreciation, creates a subtle blockage, signaling to the universe that we treat abundance lightly, that we are not yet prepared to handle the richness that is ours by divine right. By cultivating conscious gratitude with every expenditure, we honor the law of abundance and invite the unseen currents of prosperity to manifest in our lives. Unconscious spending also affects the mind and the spirit. When we habitually spend without awareness, we cultivate a sense of lack, dissatisfaction, and distraction. Our thoughts become scattered, our attention divided, and our energy diffused. The law of prosperity responds to focus, clarity, and alignment. By engaging in conscious spending, we regain control over our thoughts, our energy, and our financial destiny. We learn to direct our resources toward purposes that uplift, expand, and empower, rather than diminish and drain. Each mindful act of spending becomes a declaration of readiness for abundance, a conscious step into alignment with the invisible laws that govern wealth. The path to abundance is paved with mindfulness, awareness, and intentionality. Every choice we make with our resources either constructs a barrier or opens a channel for prosperity. Unconscious spending, though often overlooked and underestimated, is one of the most persistent barriers to wealth, quietly eroding our ability to attract, receive, and maintain financial abundance. By shining the light of awareness on every expenditure, by aligning our actions with conscious purpose, we begin to dissolve these invisible obstacles. Every dollar we hold, every coin that passes through our hands, is far more than a mere piece of currency. It is a living symbol, a messenger, an energetic statement that communicates to the unseen realms our attitude, our readiness, and our alignment with the flow of abundance. Money is consciousness made tangible. It carries the vibration of thought, intention, and belief. Every choice we make with it, whether deliberate or unconscious, is recorded in the invisible ledger of the universe. The law does not overlook the smallest expenditure or the briefest decision. Each act of giving, spending, or saving is a declaration, a spoken word of energy, and the universe responds with exact precision to this declaration. The energy we impart to our money determines whether it multiplies, flows freely, or is constricted by invisible barriers. Consider for a moment the way we spend without thought, moving through transactions as if they are mechanical acts, detached from any higher meaning. To the conscious mind, it may seem insignificant whether we pay a bill, buy a meal, or indulge in a luxury. Yet, in the spiritual realm, every dollar carries the imprint of our belief about money, worth, and abundance. When we act carelessly, when we spend impulsively, when we hand over resources without appreciation or awareness, we are sending a subtle signal to the law that we do not fully recognize the sacred energy of money, that we are not yet prepared to receive the greater abundance that is awaiting us. Each dollar that leaves the hand without conscious intent creates a ripple, a vibration that returns in kind, shaping our material circumstances in accordance with the energetic message we emit. The principle here is simple yet profound. Money mirrors consciousness. If our inner world is scattered, fearful, or impatient, our financial actions will reflect that. If our heart and mind are aligned with gratitude, clarity, and faith, our money becomes a magnet for further wealth. This is why some people, despite working tirelessly, never seem to advance in their finances, while others, with less effort, attract prosperity effortlessly. The difference is not in skill, luck, or opportunity. It is in the energy we attach to every dollar we handle. Each transaction, each decision, is a tiny but potent affirmation of our relationship with abundance. The law interprets this affirmation and manifests in the outer world what our inner energy dictates. Every dollar spent carries intention, whether we recognize it or not. When we give generously with love and understanding, we affirm that we are abundant, that the flow of wealth is endless, and that prosperity is a natural and divine state. When we spend reluctantly, grudgingly, or with fear, we communicate limitation, scarcity, and resistance. This is why wealth cannot be separated from consciousness. To accumulate riches without cultivating the right energetic vibration is to attempt to fill a container with holes. The dollars may come, but they will not stay. The universe will continue to return experiences and circumstances that reflect the energy with which we treat our resources. Unconscious attitudes toward money are often formed in childhood, molded by beliefs passed down from family, society, or circumstance. These beliefs embed themselves deeply into the subconscious mind, influencing how we handle every transaction. Many are unaware of the invisible programming that dictates their financial behaviors. Each purchase, each investment, each act of giving is an echo of these deep-seated beliefs. When these beliefs are rooted in fear, lack, or unworthiness, the energy imparted to every dollar carries these vibrations into the world, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of limitation. Conversely, by cultivating awareness, affirming our worthiness, and treating each dollar as sacred energy, we begin to reprogram these patterns, signaling to the universe that we are ready for prosperity, that we honor the divine intelligence that governs the flow of abundance. The energy of every dollar is not limited to spending alone. It extends to saving, investing, and giving. Hoarding out of fear does not generate alignment with abundance. neither does reckless spending. Each act must reflect conscious understanding, a recognition that money is alive, responsive, and intelligent. By consciously directing our financial energy toward constructive, purposeful, and appreciative action, we align ourselves with the invisible currents that bring opportunity, growth, and wealth. Every dollar then becomes a seed, planted with intention, nurtured with care, and destined to multiply in accordance with the law. Moreover, the energetic statement of money is intimately tied to gratitude. To spend without acknowledgement of the blessing of having money is to drain it of its spiritual potency. To recognize each coin as an instrument of divine flow, to handle it with reverence and intentionality, is to elevate its vibration and invite a return in exponential measure. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, scarcity into abundance, and small acts of expenditure into powerful affirmations of readiness. The universe observes not the magnitude of the dollar, but the quality of energy attached to it. A humble dollar, given or spent with consciousness, carries more power than thousands handed over unconsciously. It is also crucial to understand that the energetic statement of money extends beyond the personal realm. Every dollar we spend interacts with collective consciousness. Generous, intentional, and conscious spending sends ripples of abundance into the world, creating a magnetic field that attracts prosperity not only for ourselves but for others. Conversely, careless, wasteful, or fearful spending strengthens the vibration of limitation and lack, subtly reinforcing barriers to wealth both personally and collectively. Money, in this sense, is a living extension of our spiritual presence, reflecting the state of our consciousness in tangible form. To be aware of this principle is to take responsibility for the energy we impart to our financial decisions. It is to see every dollar not as a mere tool, but as a declaration of our readiness to receive, to trust, and to co-create with the infinite intelligence of the universe. Each act of spending, saving, or giving becomes an opportunity to affirm alignment with abundance, to speak in the language of energy, and to participate consciously in the divine flow of prosperity. By recognizing the vibrational power of every dollar, we step into a new consciousness of wealth, one where abundance is not a distant goal, but a living, responsive, and natural expression of our inner alignment. Small habitual expenses are like invisible threads, quietly weaving themselves into patterns that bind us to limitation. They appear harmless at first glance, almost insignificant in isolation. A coffee bought every morning, a small subscription overlooked, a daily snack indulged in without thought. These acts seem trivial, yet each one carries an energy that, when repeated, constructs invisible chains around our prosperity. The universe measures not only the magnitude of a financial act, but also the consistency of its vibration. Every habitual expense, no matter how modest, emits a frequency that resonates with the law of abundance. If left unchecked, these frequencies compound into a persistent pattern, shaping our circumstances in accordance with limitation rather than freedom. Wealth is not merely a matter of large sums, opportunities, or external circumstances. It is the cumulative reflection of the energy we invest in every small financial action. Many fail to recognize the subtlety of these chains because they are formed gradually. Unlike dramatic errors or obvious extravagances, habitual small expenses slip under the radar of conscious awareness. Over days, weeks, and months, they accumulate imperceptibly, creating energetic blockages that keep prosperity at bay. Each small indulgence or unconscious purchase is like a single drop in a river. Alone it seems insignificant, but collectively, they create currents that redirect the flow of wealth away from us. The law of accumulation is precise and unforgiving. It does not distinguish between small and large acts of carelessness. It responds to the frequency of repetition. Therefore, the mind and spirit must cultivate awareness of these seemingly minor habits, for it is in the accumulation of small acts that the greatest power is found, both for restriction and for liberation. Consider how easily these habitual expenses are justified. The mind, ever ready with rationalizations, whispers, "It is only a little," or "I deserve this small pleasure." These statements are subtle affirmations of limitation. The law does not accept excuses. It registers the energy behind every thought and action. When small, consistent patterns of waste, indulgence, or unnecessary expenditure are repeated, they form a persistent vibration of lack. The universe, which responds only to energetic frequency, reflects back this vibration in our financial circumstances. It is not the size of a single act that matters, but the repeated signal sent to the invisible forces that govern prosperity. Each small habit, multiplied over time, becomes a significant barrier, an energetic chain that constrains the natural flow of wealth. Habitual expenses also shape consciousness, for money is a mirror of thought and energy. When we consistently spend without intention, we cultivate an inner state of carelessness, distraction, and unconsciousness. This inner state resonates outward, attracting experiences and circumstances that reinforce the same patterns. Prosperity is a reflection of alignment, and alignment is maintained by conscious engagement with every action, including small, repeated expenditures. To ignore these habitual expenses is to ignore the powerful signals we are sending to the universe. The law operates not on ignorance, but on energy. Every small habit carries an imprint, and that imprint accumulates into an unmistakable pattern that the universe responds to faithfully. Even seemingly minimal habits can carry substantial energetic weight. A small daily indulgence, repeated over months and years, accumulates into a significant drain on resources. The physical manifestation of this drain is obvious in the numbers, yet the spiritual consequence is more profound. Every dollar spent unconsciously is a message. I am not vigilant. I am not prepared. I am willing to accept limitation. These messages echo back to us through the circumstances we experience, often invisibly. Habitual expenses are more than financial. They are energetic. They shape the way we perceive ourselves, the way the universe perceives us, and the opportunities that we attract. Liberation from limitation begins with awareness of these habits and the willingness to change the pattern. The principle extends beyond mere financial calculation. It touches the entire way we approach life, opportunity, and abundance. Habitual spending without purpose trains the mind to accept mediocrity, to settle for less, and to drift along the currents of limitation. Each repeated act without intention weakens the magnetic force that draws prosperity toward us. Conversely, conscious management of habitual spending strengthens alignment. Every mindful choice, no matter how small, becomes a declaration of readiness, an affirmation that we respect the energy of money, that we honor the invisible law that governs abundance, and that we are willing to participate consciously in the flow of prosperity. Awareness and deliberate choice are the keys to dissolving these chains. When we begin to notice the small expenditures that quietly accumulate, we awaken to the power of our own responsibility. Each coffee, each small indulgence, each minor subscription or habit is an opportunity to make a conscious decision. Is this expense serving my purpose, my growth, and my alignment with abundance? Or is it perpetuating limitation, distraction, or waste? By asking these questions, we begin to reclaim our financial energy and redirect it toward intentional, purposeful, and aligned action. The invisible chains begin to loosen as the mind, heart, and hands act in unison with the law of prosperity. Furthermore, habitual expenses often reflect deeper patterns of thought and belief. They are outward manifestations of inner conditioning, accumulated over years or even generations. Small acts of unconscious spending echo beliefs about lack, undeservingness, or scarcity. To break these chains, one must address both the external habits and the internal programming that fuels them. Consciously redirecting habitual expenditures is a spiritual practice as much as a financial one. It involves vigilance, discipline, and a clear awareness of the law of abundance, recognizing that every small act carries energy that shapes the world around us. The accumulation of small habitual expenses also reveals the principle that wealth is not only created by large decisions, but also by the integrity of daily actions. Every small financial choice is a seed planted, an energetic statement made, and the harvest reflects the attention and consciousness invested. When these seeds are scattered unconsciously, they yield limitation. When planted with purpose, they yield abundance. The law operates impartially. faithfully reflecting the frequency of energy we attach to every action, no matter how minor it may appear. Even minor expenditures that are repetitive in nature can become formidable barriers. They are the hidden chains that prevent us from stepping fully into our prosperity, often invisible until we pause to observe our patterns. Awareness, attention, and deliberate intention are the keys to transformation. By scrutinizing habitual expenses, identifying their energetic vibration, and redirecting them into purposeful avenues, we begin to unravel the chains of limitation. Each moment of conscious choice breaks the invisible link that ties us to lack, opening channels for wealth to flow unimpeded, demonstrating that the smallest actions, repeated consistently, hold immense power in shaping the experience of abundance. Conscious stewardship of money is not merely a practice of careful budgeting or prudent investment. It is an acknowledgement of the sacred energy that money represents, an awareness that every dollar is a messenger carrying the vibration of our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions. To be a conscious steward is to recognize that money is not a static commodity, but a living, responsive force that mirrors the inner state of the mind and heart. When we act with awareness, planning, gratitude, and purpose, we align ourselves with the natural flow of prosperity that exists everywhere in the universe. Every financial decision becomes an act of co-creation, a harmonious dialogue between our will and the invisible forces that govern abundance. Many people approach money as if it were merely a tool for survival or indulgence, failing to recognize its spiritual significance. When we spend, save, or invest without attention, we inadvertently create blockages, sending signals of carelessness, fear, or unworthiness to the universe. Conscious stewardship, by contrast, is a deliberate practice of alignment. It is the choice to honor the energy of money by directing it thoughtfully toward purposes that serve growth, opportunity, and fulfillment. Each dollar handled in this way becomes a seed of abundance, planting the energetic foundation upon which wealth can flourish. The universe responds to this alignment, multiplying resources, opening doors, and orchestrating circumstances that reflect the law of prosperity. At the heart of conscious stewardship lies awareness. Awareness is the first step toward transformation because it illuminates the patterns of behavior that either support or hinder abundance. Many people are unaware of how frequently they make unconscious financial choices, from small daily purchases to larger expenditures, that divert energy away from wealth. Awareness requires careful observation of these patterns, honest reflection on the motivations behind spending, and recognition of how habits, beliefs, and emotions influence financial decisions. Through this conscious examination, we begin to see where we have unconsciously blocked the flow of prosperity and how we can redirect our resources to align with the law of abundance. Intentionality is the second vital element of stewardship. It is not enough to merely observe spending patterns. One must also act with deliberate purpose. Every dollar spent, given, or invested should serve a conscious objective, whether it is the expansion of personal wealth, the support of family, the cultivation of health, or the contribution to higher purposes. When intention governs action, the energy of money shifts from mere transaction to deliberate manifestation. The law of prosperity responds to this conscious energy, reinforcing alignment and producing results that reflect both the quantity and quality of attention given to financial matters. By making intentional choices, we establish a pattern of responsibility and consciousness that becomes magnetic to opportunity and abundance. Gratitude is another essential component of stewardship. Money, as a form of energy, responds to the vibration of appreciation. To handle it with awareness but without gratitude is to acknowledge its existence without fully engaging its spiritual potential. When we cultivate gratitude for every dollar, we affirm the principle that wealth is not scarce and that abundance flows naturally to those who recognize it. Gratitude transforms ordinary transactions into energetic affirmations, signaling to the universe that we are ready to receive more, that we value the gift of resources, and that we honor the interconnectedness of all abundance. This conscious appreciation amplifies the flow, ensuring that prosperity is drawn to us with ease and grace. Discipline is closely intertwined with stewardship, for conscious management of money requires consistency and self-control. It is easy to act with awareness in isolated instances, but true alignment comes when these practices are embedded in daily life. Repeated, disciplined acts of thoughtful expenditure, savings, and giving establish a consistent energetic signal that resonates with the law of abundance. The universe responds not to sporadic gestures, but to steady, sustained patterns of consciousness. Each act of disciplined stewardship reinforces alignment, building momentum for the manifestation of greater prosperity. Stewardship also involves discernment. To align with the flow of prosperity, one must distinguish between expenditures that enhance growth and those that detract from it. Not every desire, impulse, or opportunity aligns with higher purpose or divine guidance. Conscious stewardship requires reflection and clarity, the ability to weigh each financial decision against principles of abundance, purpose, and alignment. By choosing carefully, we avoid wasteful or reactive expenditures that dilute energy, and we focus our resources where they can produce the greatest energetic and material return. Discernment transforms money from a passive tool into a dynamic instrument of creation, amplifying the manifestation of wealth in ways that are subtle, consistent, and powerful. Another key aspect of conscious stewardship is generosity. True abundance is never confined to the self. It expands and multiplies through sharing. By giving with intention, whether through charity, support of others, or investment in meaningful causes, we establish a flow of energy that returns in manifold ways. Generosity signals to the universe that we understand the principles of circulation, that wealth is not hoarded but shared, and that prosperity thrives in a network of reciprocity. Each act of conscious giving strengthens alignment, enhancing the energetic vibration of our financial actions and reinforcing the magnetism that draws further resources into our lives. Mindfulness in every financial act reinforces these principles. To be mindful is to engage fully with the energy of money, to observe how it moves through our hands, how it serves our purpose, and how it affects our consciousness. Mindfulness transforms the mundane into sacred, turning routine transactions into rituals of alignment. Every payment, every saving act, every gift becomes an affirmation of our readiness for prosperity, a deliberate statement to the universe that we honor the law of abundance, and that we participate consciously in the creative flow of wealth. Conscious stewardship is ultimately a spiritual practice. It requires recognition that money is more than a material tool. It is a reflection of our inner state and an instrument for expressing our highest principles. By engaging in stewardship with awareness, intention, gratitude, discipline, discernment, generosity, and mindfulness, we align with the natural flow of prosperity. The law of abundance, ever faithful, responds to this energetic alignment, orchestrating circumstances, opportunities, and resources that reflect our readiness to receive, expand, and co-create in harmony with the infinite intelligence that gove. RNS Wealth. Each financial decision, approached with consciousness and care, becomes a step into alignment, a declaration that we are prepared to participate fully in the abundance of the universe, and a powerful affirmation that the flow of prosperity is a living, responsive force. By cultivating stewardship, we transform money from a static instrument into a dynamic partner in our journey, a co-creator with our consciousness, reflecting back to us the vibrational energy we invest in every action. Awareness of wasteful patterns is the gateway through which true financial freedom begins. Many move through life, feeling constrained by money, burdened by obligations, and frustrated by the seeming impossibility of wealth, yet they fail to recognize that the source of limitation often lies not in the external world but in their own habits and choices. The first step toward liberation is the quiet, deliberate act of observation. To become aware of where money is spent unconsciously, where energy is dissipated without purpose, is to illuminate the shadows that obscure prosperity. The universe responds to this illumination. The law of abundance operates with exactness. It mirrors our consciousness, reflecting back the energy we pour into our financial decisions. When we shine the light of awareness on waste, we begin to dissolve the invisible blocks that have silently kept the flow of wealth at bay. Wasteful patterns are often subtle, disguised under the guise of routine, comfort, or minor indulgence. A daily coffee purchased without thought, a subscription left unused, frequent small impulse purchases, or unnecessary convenience services all carry an energetic weight. Alone, each may appear negligible, yet collectively they form a web that limits the natural circulation of resources. These patterns are not merely financial. They are energetic signals to the universe about how we regard abundance. When we spend without awareness, we communicate scarcity, carelessness, or disregard for the sacred energy of money. Each act reinforces the energetic frequency of limitation, shaping circumstances that keep prosperity elusive. Awareness, therefore, is a spiritual practice as much as it is a practical one. To observe without judgment, to notice habits that deplete resources, and to reflect upon the purpose behind every expenditure is to take control of the unseen forces that govern material outcomes. Many people react to financial pressures externally, seeking solutions through income, investment, or opportunity, while ignoring the internal patterns that dictate their experiences. True freedom begins within. The recognition of wasteful patterns is the first conscious step toward altering the energetic landscape of our lives. The moment we observe, we awaken to the possibility of change, for energy follows attention, and the universe responds to the quality of our consciousness. The process of awareness requires honesty and courage. It is not enough to superficially acknowledge that money leaves the hands. One must probe deeply into the nature of expenditure, the emotions and beliefs that drive it, and the outcomes it produces. Are purchases made out of genuine necessity, or do they stem from habit, distraction, or the desire for fleeting pleasure? Does each dollar reflect intentionality, purpose, and alignment, or does it mirror unconscious patterns rooted in fear, scarcity, or societal conditioning? By examining these questions with clarity and patience, we gain insight into the energetic habits that shape our financial reality. Awareness transforms the invisible into the visible, the unconscious into conscious choice, allowing us to reclaim control over the flow of wealth in our lives. Wasteful patterns are often reinforced by unconscious beliefs and early conditioning. Many inherit attitudes about money from family, culture, or society, accepting limitations as reality without ever questioning them. Money is scarce, I never have enough, or wealth is for others, not me, are subtle messages that influence spending habits and create energetic barriers. These beliefs, when left unexamined, manifest in repetitive patterns of expenditure that drain energy and resources. Awareness of these underlying currents is the first act of freedom, for it allows us to disentangle conscious choice from inherited conditioning. By shining the light of observation on wasteful patterns, we break the cycle of unconscious repetition and open the doorway to abundance. Awareness also cultivates mindfulness in financial actions. When we know where resources are being spent unnecessarily, we gain the power to redirect them toward purposes that serve growth, prosperity, and alignment. Every act of expenditure becomes an opportunity to affirm values, priorities, and conscious intent. A mindful approach transforms money from a passive tool into a living instrument of creation. Each dollar is recognized for its energetic potential, its ability to reflect our consciousness and shape our circumstances. Wasteful patterns, once brought into awareness, can be transformed into purposeful acts that reinforce alignment with the law of abundance, creating a feedback loop that multiplies prosperity. The recognition of wasteful patterns also enhances discernment. We learn to differentiate between expenditures that serve purpose and those that deplete energy without return. It is not the magnitude of spending that determines alignment, but the awareness, intention, and consciousness behind it. By observing and evaluating habitual patterns, we develop the capacity to make deliberate choices, ensuring that each act of expenditure is an energetic statement aligned with abundance. Discernment strengthens the mind, cultivates responsibility, and fosters the energetic conditions necessary for prosperity to flow without obstruction. Awareness, combined with discernment, transforms the experience of money from reactive survival to proactive co-creation. Moreover, awareness of wasteful patterns fosters gratitude. By identifying where money has been dissipated unconsciously, we gain insight into the value of mindful stewardship. Gratitude amplifies the energy of every financial act, creating resonance with the invisible law of abundance. When we recognize the sacred energy inherent in resources and choose to handle them with care, appreciation, and purpose, the universe responds with corresponding increase. Every act of awareness, every dollar spent with mindfulness, becomes a vibration that draws further prosperity, reinforcing the principle that financial freedom is not merely the absence of scarcity, but the alignment of consciousness with abundance. Awareness also empowers proactive planning. Once wasteful patterns are seen clearly, one can allocate resources consciously, directing money toward growth, opportunity, and expansion rather than depletion. Budgeting, saving, investing, and giving become acts of intentional energy, each reflecting readiness to receive and co-create with the law of prosperity. The conscious allocation of resources strengthens energetic alignment, transforming previously unconscious expenditure into deliberate action. The universe responds to this coherence, orchestrating opportunities, circumstances, and resources that mirror the energy invested in mindful financial stewardship. The spiritual significance of awareness cannot be overstated. Wasteful patterns, though often subtle, carry profound energetic consequences. Every act of unconscious spending reinforces limitation. Every moment of recognition weakens the chains that bind abundance. Awareness is the conscious light that illuminates the energetic landscape of our financial life, allowing us to redirect, reclaim, and reorient our relationship with money. Through careful observation, reflection, discernment, and mindful action, wasteful patterns are transmuted into opportunities for growth, and the energy of resources becomes aligned with the universal law of abundance, setting the stage for the realization of true financial freedom.